Several years ago, my son invited me to attend a recovery meeting with him. I was happy to go so I could learn more about the family disease of alcoholism and have an opportunity to share the common bond of recovery with my son. After the meeting, a woman who stood no more than 5 feet tall, with nearly 50 years of sobriety, beelined straight to my son, her eyes locked onto his, and she said, "You're gonna make it. I can see the light in your eyes." Wow, this woman really knows things. She's like an older female version of the mentalist. She can really read people. And then she turned to me and she said, "And you." I can't even tell you the excitement and exhilaration. What was going to come next out of this sage woman's mouth? How would she finish that sentence? What did she see in me? Best mother, pillar of recovery, wisdom and strength, perfect life prototype. Without skipping a beat, she pointed her finger in my direction and said, "And you, mind your own business." Hear that sound? It's the air being let out of the tires of my overinflated ego. Not at all what I had in mind. Borderline rude, don't you think? But with a brief pause and a deep breath, I smiled and said to my new sage friend, "You are 100% right." Not the truth I had in mind, but the truth I needed nonetheless. And did you know it's actually a biblical concept? 1 Thessalonians 4:11 through 12 says this, "And make it your ambition to live quietly and peacefully, and to mind your own affairs and work with your hands, just as we directed you, so that you will behave properly toward outsiders, exhibiting good character, personal integrity, and moral courage worthy of the respect of the outside world, and be dependent on no one and in need of nothing. Be self-supporting." When I discovered my son was using drugs, I made it my ambition to fix him. If only he had new friends. So I moved him to a new school where he met new kids that also did drugs. If only he had a car, he'd be able to work and feel better about himself, get into a routine. So I bought a new car, which led to another wreck, and then a new car, which led to another wreck, and it was a vicious cycle. If only he had a good job. So I helped him get really good jobs so he could have more money to buy more drugs. If only I had a clue that I don't have a clue. If only I realized that drugs are just a symptom of the bigger problem, which is missing the heck out of God. If only I didn't meddle and try to rescue him. If only I got out of the way so he could reach his bottom sooner. If only I knew that my brand of help did more harm than good. If only I could remember that God is the only one that really knows what another human being needs. It's true that hindsight is 20/20. All the things I did to try to help my son backfired. Looking back, I know I did the best I could at the time. Now that I know better, I do better. Minding your own business doesn't mean that we ignore things to the point of denial. It doesn't mean we sit in a rocking chair and twiddle our thumbs. On the contrary, it means we get busy, we get focused, and with God's help, we get to work on ourselves. Need some help getting started on the mind your own business path? Consider 3 principles found in our key verse. Mind your own affairs. Long time, fixing other people was my ambition. I went hard and fast after trying to fix my son and a lot of other people, places, and things. Why? It was a lot easier to try to fix someone else than myself. Paul reminds us to focus on our own affairs, to keep our mouths shut, to stop meddling. If I'm honest, I've got plenty of things to work on in myself. I need to take the log out of my own eye before worrying about the splinter in someone else's. My energy, attention, and ambition are better spent on how I keep myself connected and close to God, how I serve and encourage others, how I keep my side of the street clean. Behave properly towards outsiders. Well, how do you define outsiders? I think it's similar to how Jesus defined our neighbors in the story of the Good Samaritan. It's basically anyone that crosses your path. An outsider then is anyone outside of my hula hoop. My business is what goes on inside the confines of this plastic hoop. Everyone outside of my hula hoop is an outsider. There are plenty of outsiders I interact with. For a long time, you'd have thought I had only one outsider in my life, my addicted son. He was my obsession. But I also have a husband. I have other kids. I have friends. I have neighbors. How will I behave toward all the outsiders that God has placed in my life? How will you? Paul tells us we're to exhibit good character, personal integrity, and moral courage. I used to think that my addict gave me a hall pass to act crazy. If you had to live with this, you'd act crazy too. You'd be angry. You'd want to hide. You'd be less than content. You'd be fearful, anxious, nervous, and agitated all the time. You'd have nothing left to give the other outsiders. And Paul reminds us there is no hall pass. I can't control what my addict does. I can control how I treat the other people in my life with patience, dignity, and respect. I do that by remembering to mind my own business and be the woman God created me to be. Be self-supporting. Paul reminds us to be self-supporting, aka don't mooch off of other people. Mooching applies to much more than bumming money, meals, and lodging. I recently had an aha moment when God helped me see different ways I mooch off of other people by using them or trying to manipulate them to get what I want, to look good, to feel good. When I look to outsiders to fill those empty places, I'm headed for disaster. I need to hightail it back to my hula hoop and remember to be self-supporting. What I need is found inside my hula hoop, not outside. God fills up that space between me and the plastic ring, and He alone is the one that will satisfy our souls. He's all that we need. So now I'll say to you what that little old lady said to me that was in recovery. And you mind your own business. Don't give advice that isn't asked for. Don't play God in other people's lives. Don't control what can't be controlled. Don't ignore your own issues by focusing on other people's. So what do? Feed your soul, ride a bike, sing, stay present, laugh, love, live your life inside your hula hoop and let your outsiders live inside theirs. That's where the joy is, and that's where recovery is. Want to go deeper on today's topic? Download the study guide, and don't forget to share the joy.